Hello everyone. Today we'll be talking about proteins. You must be familiar with the word protein, isn't it? And you would be knowing that protein is essential for the growth of the body. Now, in today's episode, we will find the scientific aspects of protein in terms of how it has been derived and what are the functions in the body and quantity required for an individual and the deficiency disorders, etc. Now, to define the the term protein was coined by a Dutch chemist, Mulder, in 1838. So, the meaning of this word protein was to take the first place. Now, you can understand that this word itself emphasizes the importance of this particular nutrient. It is considered to be an important organic substances, highly essential for life, and protein is the abundant component of the body next to water. It accounts for 1/6 of the body weight, for which 50% is present in the muscles, 20% in the bone, around 10% in the skin, and the remaining in the other body fluids. Now, protein being a macromolecule that is required in a larger quantity, uh, has a molecular weight in the range of around 10,000 to more than 10 to the power of 6. They are composed, coming to the composition, a protein is composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur, and sometimes even the phosphorus is being in combination. One of the most important feature of protein is that they contain about 16% of nitrogen. So this unique feature will distinguish protein from carbohydrates as well as the fats. Now, some of the proteins also do contain phosphorus, sulfur, iron, iodine, copper, and cobalt also. Now, coming to the classification of proteins. Now, classification of proteins is based on its unit component. As you have seen in the carbohydrates, we spoke about the saccharides over there. In the same manner, when protein is being hydrolyzed, they yield amino acid, which is referred to as the structural unit of protein. So hence, all proteins are composed of amino acids which are linked together. Around 20 different amino acids are present there. Now, based on the requirement, they have been, or the availability, they have been classified. So the classification is as essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. So the essential amino acids is, that is, they are essential to the body and should be provided through the diet. That means to say, the body cannot synthesize these amino acids, so they are referred to as essential amino acids. And we have 9 essential amino acids that are there. They are like isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, tryptophan, and valine. And other 2 important, that is histidine and arginine, are also required as an, and they are grouped as an essential amino acid, but they are required for the growth and maintenance during the infancy period, so they are termed as semi-essential. Now, apart from these 9 essential amino acids, the remaining are the non-essential amino acid. That means to say, they are required, but our body has got the capacity to synthesize them in the body. So they are glycine, alanine, serine, cysteine, aspartic, glutamate, proline, hydroxyproline are referred to as non-essential amino acids. Now, this is one type of classification based on the amino acids that are present. Now, let us start with the actual classification of protein. There are 3 ways in which the proteins are being classified. One is the chemical classification, then the other classification based on the physical shape, and the last one is the nutritional classification. Now let us start with each one of these classification. Now based on the chemical components within them, it has been classified as simple proteins, conjugate proteins, and derived proteins. So it is here chemical classification, simple proteins, then conjugate proteins and the derived proteins. Now simple proteins are nothing but combination of an amino acid and present in the corn, then in the albumin, egg albumin, and the gliadin of the wheat. Conjugate protein is nothing but, the word itself will say, it is in combination. That is, they are formed by a combination of a simple protein and a non-protein substances. So just a few examples if I can quote is lipoproteins, wherein a protein is combined or attached with a lipid. Then you have got nucleoproteins, that is the protein with the nucleic acid which is present in RNA and DNA. And the last one is the phosphoroprotein, wherein the protein molecule is attached with the phosphoric acid, that is, which is present in the casein of the milk. The last one is the derived protein. Now these are derived by the partial breakdown of the protein, that is during the hydrolysis, the intermediate product which is there is nothing but the derived proteins, and some of the examples are proteases, peptones, polypeptides, etc., which are formed during the metabolism of the protein. Now next classification, as I said, is based on the physical shape. We have got fibrous proteins and the globular proteins. Fibrous proteins are nothing but which consists of long polypeptide chains that are bound together or probably in a linear shape and a parallel manner. They are insoluble in the body fluids and give strength to the tissues in which they appear. So the best example I can give is the hair and the nails which are there. Now apart from this, we have got the globular proteins, and these are the chain of amino acids that are coiled and tightly packed together in a round shape. They are generally soluble in body fluids, and the best example is the hemoglobin which is there in the blood, and of course the enzymes and the albumins which are there. Apart from these, we have got the nutritional classification, which is very important for us. Now nutritional classification, when I just talk about, it is nothing but based on the amino acids that are present, especially the essential amino acids which are present in a particular food. So more the amino acid is present in a particular food, it has been considered as a ideal dietary protein. So hence they have been classified nutritionally as a complete protein where the maximum amount of amino acids are present. And the best example I can give for them is the milk, meat, egg, fish, and poultry. Now proteins which are coming from the vegetable origin, like cereal proteins, or it can be the legume proteins, or it can be even the nuts and oil seeds, are lacking in one or two essential amino acids. They may have, but maybe one or two essential amino acid maybe, or probably they have got just one or two essential amino acids in there. Such proteins are referred to as, or such foods are referred to as the partially complete proteins, and are particularly deficient in certain amino acids which is said to be limiting amino acid. Now the best example here is the gelatin, a protein that has been derived from connective tissue, is totally devoid of the essential amino acid, that is especially tryptophan, and this is a best example for the incomplete protein. So even the zen of the corn which is there is also referred to as incomplete protein itself. Now basically these complete protein which are there helps during the growth and development of the body. So that is why if you just remember, milk is always been recommended for the children, right from the children. So this is because it is a complete protein food. And partially complete protein foods which are there will take the growth there continues, but there will be no development over there, or it will not help or support the development, but instead wear and tear of the tissues are taken care by this partially complete proteins. Now, food proteins are thus classified as complete proteins, partially complete proteins, and incomplete proteins. Now, coming to the functions of protein. Now, the functions of proteins have been again we have classified as functions in the food system and functions related to the nutrition, that is physiological functions. Let us start one by one over there. Now let us start with the functions in the food system, how this protein supports the food system. We know that wheat is a unique cereal grain which is a good source of protein, and this is having a unique feature which keeps the elasticity or gives the elasticity to the product, and hence for the best example I can give is the bread which is there, which has got which needs this elastic nature. So that is why we say it is giving a structure to the food and supports in the food system. And apart from that, we have got milk. Milk is not a true solution, it is an emulsion. So milk protein, that is casein, which is there, is an emulsifier and keeps the different components in the form of a homogeneous mixture. And man has been able to imitate nature by making soya milk and groundnut milk, but they do not get homogenized as we see the same thing in milk which is there. So that is how the proteins plays an important role even in the food system. Now, apart from this, as I said, it is having a very good physiological function. So let us start with each of the role of this protein. Now, let us start with the growth. Protein constitute the chief solid materials of muscles, organs, and endocrine glands. They are major components of the matrix of bones, teeth, skin, nails, and blood cells. Then they are also very essential for the muscle contraction and also synthesis of RNA as well as DNA. In fact, every living cell and all body fluids except bile and urine contain protein. Amino acids supply the materials for the building and continuous replacement of the cell proteins throughout life. That is the wear and tear of the tissues, we say. Now, the maintenance of tissues. Proteins are continuously degraded and resynthesized in the body throughout the life. Hence, proteins are needed for maintenance of tissues. For example, the lining of the intestinal tract is renewed almost every day. Proteins in liver and blood plasma are broken down and resynthesized. Blood cells have a lifespan of around 120 days. So hence, protein supply should be continuous to take care of this, that is for turnover, and in addition they are also required for the repair of the tissues. Now, formation of essential body compounds and the regulation of body process also is taken care by the proteins. That is the highly specialized function in regulation of body process. And I would like to discuss some of them. All enzymes essential for digestion and metabolism of foods are nothing but proteins. Hormones such as insulin, growth hormone, thyroxine, steroids are nothing but proteins in nature. And these hormones regulate metabolism and biological functions of the body. They act as chemical messengers in the body. Hemoglobin, a vital oxygen carrier of blood, is a complex of protein and iron. Blood components are protein in nature. The next one is photoreceptors present in the eye initiate the nerve signals for senses of vision. These photoreceptors are protein in nature. Nucleoproteins which are there contains the material for the synthesis of the body proteins. Then we have got the, as I said, muscle contraction. Myosin and acetylcholine regulates the muscle contraction. Then we have got the defense mechanism. Protein maintain the body resistance to disease, antibodies and certain certain WBCs which are there defend the body against infections and disease. Antibodies are also protein in nature. The toxins that is present in food are detoxified by certain enzymes that are present in the liver and are converted to harmless substances also. Now, apart from this, I think yesterday when I was talking about the carbohydrate, I just, when we were talking about the metabolism, digestion and absorption process, I just spoke about the carriers of the components that are being digested from the small intestine to the different parts of the body. So this protein acts as a transporter to the nutrients from the intestine to blood and from the blood to the tissues across the cell membranes. The type of transport protein is specific to specific nutrients, like we have got lipoproteins transport triglycerides, cholesterol and phospholipids, while retinol is transported by retinal binding protein, and we have got metallothionein in protein transports copper and zinc ions also. Now, apart from this, protein has also got a very important role in maintenance of appropriate pH. This is because proteins are amphiteric in nature, and this is useful in the maintenance of acid-base balance in the tissue. Proteins in blood serves as a buffer. They can either combine with the hydrogen or the hydroxyl group to balance the pH. Now, of course, regulation of water balance is also very important, and proteins in blood help to regulate the body process. So proteins, the plasma proteins especially regulates the osmotic pressure and exerts an influence on exchange of water between tissue cells and support and surrounding fluids, and hence water balance of body as well as the whole can be maintained. Now, apart from this, as I spoke yesterday again, I told that protein provides the same amount of energy as is seen in the carbohydrates. So protein provides, that is 1 gram of proteins provides 4 kilocalories of energy, and this is being used only when the diets are deficit in carbohydrates and fats. Otherwise, it will not be used. So only during the emergency, the proteins are converted to the energy, and then it is being used. Only around 10 to 15% of the energy is being contributed by the proteins. Okay. Now let us talk about the digestion and absorption. Now, after ingestion of the food, that is when you consume the food, the proteins are hydrolyzed into amino acids. As I said, it is the structural unit. So complete digestion ends the protein into amino acids. As we have seen in carbohydrate, it is the glucose or the monosaccharides. So in the same manner, proteins are hydrolyzed into amino acids during the digestion. The purpose of digestion is to hydrolyze proteins to amino acids so that they can be absorbed. Saliva contains no enzymes. As we have seen in carbohydrates, saliva had amylase, wherein the digestion of carbohydrates was initiated in the buccal cavity, that is mouth itself, with the help of the salivary amylase. But for protein, there is no enzymes that are present, so there is no action at all, and thus the only action in the mouth is an increase in the surface area of the food mass as a result of chewing of food. And most of the hydrolysis of protein occurs usually in the stomach, duodenum and jejunum. Now, the protein molecule is split into smaller fragments by the proteases, and finally it becomes it gets reduced by the peptidases. The enzymes that are secreted in the inactive form are activated when they are required for protein hydrolysis, and enzymes like pepsin in the stomach and trypsin and chymotrypsin in the intestine are involved in the digestion process of or the hydrolysis of the protein. Now, the digestibility of proteins is not uniform. This is because the type of amino acids that are present in different foods will also be considered. So, some like milk and egg proteins are easily and quickly digested, whereas the proteins that are coming from the legumes are slowly and more difficult to digest. So, only amino acids are absorbed into the bloodstream, with the result that the unhydrolyzed, that is undigested portion of the proteins is thrown out throughout the fecal matter. Now, the absorbed proteins are carried by the portal circulation to liver, are circulated directly to the tissues, and the tissue amino acids are used for the formation of new cell, maybe repair and maintenance of the existing cells, or the secretions that is required. So these constructive processes are anabolic activities, and the excess amino acids thereafter anabolic activities are either used for the energy purpose or sometimes converted into fatty acids. Now, the other important aspects after the absorption and digestion is the recommended dietary allowances. Now, as I said, that protein recommendation or any nutrient recommendation, it has been based on the age, the physiological status, and also the activity, I said. So accordingly, the proteins have been allotted, and this is a perusal of the table that I have given. And if you just see to it, the protein requirement is more when you compare to the total body surface area. Protein requirement is more in the infants and children when compared to that of the adults. This is the simple reason is behind this is the growing period. So infants up to the adolescent is a rapid growing period. So it is not just the growth, it is also the development that is taking place in the infants. That is why we have got more of protein content that has been required for the growing period than compared to that of the adulthood, wherein only the maintenance and the wear and tear of the tissues takes place. And of course, apart from this, the physiological conditions, as I said, pregnancy and lactation, we have additional protein requirement per kg body weight, and that will take care of the growth of the fetus, the amniotic fluid, as well as the outcome of pregnancy, that is the process of the delivery, which is there, where losses of nutrients takes place, and it has to be balanced. So this will be taken care during by the extra amount that has been allotted during the pregnancy period. And apart from that, for lactation, it is the synthesis of the milk that requires more of proteins over there. For the first 6 months, since the milk is the only food for the infants, and whatever the loss that has been occurred during the course of the delivery, everything has to be taken care. So the additional requirement of protein is higher there. And after the 6th month, since the baby or the infant will be given the external food also, so there is slightly lesser amount of protein that has been required. So it is just for the production of milk and the maintenance of the mother's requirement. So the requirement, that is the additional requirement, is slightly lower when compared to the first 6 months of the lactating period. Now coming to the food source, as you can see, food source, it is nothing but the nuts and oil seeds. Then we have got the animal products, we have got the pulses and legumes are the good sources of the proteins. Among them, the animal products are very rich in all most of the essential amino acids, and they are considered to be a complete protein foods. And apart from that, the next is the nuts and oilseeds, which are rich in protein. And finally, the good sources are nothing but the legumes and the pulses. But among the legumes and pulses, soybean is found to have higher amount of essential amino acids, and their absorption is also high. So it has been considered as an exclusive foodstuff among the legumes, the pulses and the legumes. Now, the protein's quality has been measured. So how we know that it is a good quality or it is not a good quality when we talk about the essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids? So this is being evaluated, and it is being evaluated in different ways, and experiments have been done. So for this, we have got different ways in which the protein quality has been done. One such as the protein efficiency ratio. Now, this protein efficiency ratio is one of the simplest techniques for determination of protein quality. And in this experiment, growth of rat is observed. So it is a group of healthy rats will be weighed in the beginning, and known amount or known quantity of proteins, especially the casein, will be taken, will be fed to the rats for required time, maybe around 28 days. And while they are being adequate diet which contains the proteins, will be the weight will be considered over there, or the weight gain, that is initial weight, and the way after the completion of the course of the experiment, that is after 28 days, the way rats are weighed, and again the weight is being taken, and there again we will see to the growth pattern of the those rats. So this is referred to as protein efficiency ratio, wherein the weight gain is divided by the protein that has been consumed. Now, apart from that, we have got measurement that has been done. It is the chemical score. This is also called as the amino acid score. The protein quality of a food is determined by comparing its amino acid composition with the amino acid present of pattern which is there in a reference protein. So the calculation of the score for each amino acid is done using the formula, like we have got amino acid in milligrams in the test protein, which has been divided by the amino acid that is present in the high quality proteins, that is nothing but the casein we usually take. So the amino acid that has the lowest score for any one of the essential amino acid is the limiting amino acid for that protein. Then apart from that, we talk about the biological value also. Now, the biological value is nothing but the percentage of the absorbed nitrogen that is retained in the body. I just now told about, when I was speaking about the food source, I said the absorption capacity among the legumes in the soybean is higher when you compare to the other pulses and legumes. So this is nothing but we are referring to the word biological value. Now, determination of these requires measurement of nitrogen content of the food ingested and of the culinary and the fecal excretions by the list animal under controlled conditions with the protein intake and set below the requirement level also. Now, in this experiment, it is necessary to take into account the way it is being prepared, the fecal nitrogen excretion that would occur when the protein-free diet is fed, and that is how it is being done. That means to say, when we are feeding the animal, the experimental animal, we do take care how it has been prepared, what is the amount that has been given or fed, what is the leftover over there, and what is the nitrogen output through the fecal matter, as well as the urine is also considered. So that is how we calculate the biological value. Now, the protein that has a biological value of 70 or more is capable of supporting growth, provided that sufficient calories is also ingested. So that is how it has been done. Lastly, we have got the net protein utilization. In this method, proportion of nitrogen consumed that is retained by the body under standard condition is measured over here, and it takes into account the digestibility of food proteins also. When the food proteins are completely digested, it is almost similar to that of biological value, that is net protein utilization and biological value can be the same. As I said, the experimental animal will be fed with a known amount, one group will be fed with a known quantity of a standard protein, maybe casein, and the other can be fed with any other protein. Then the difference will be taken into consideration, and apart from that, the fecal matter, the urine sample, the volume of urine and the amount of fecal matter will be considered for on daily basis. And even the wastage also, when we feed that, anything that is left over, the wastage also is taken into consideration when we are calculating this net protein utilization. So that is how it has been calculated, and it is almost similar to that of the biological value which we calculate. So these are the few important ways in which the protein quality is being measured. Now, apart from this, the next thing is we have to know about the deficiency disorder. Now, I just gave a hint yesterday that protein energy malnutrition is nothing but which has been due to the deficiency of protein as well as energy. Now, protein energy malnutrition is widely prevalent among the weaned infants, preschool up to preschool children. And here, as I said, the diet consumed lacks in protein as well as energy. And this will have an impact on the vitamins as well as minerals also. So this problem leads to growth retardation, lack of resistance to infection, and also poor intellectual development. Now, the two main causes of the disease is either protein deficiency or protein and energy deficiency. So if it is raising due to the protein deficiency, we term it as the Kash-Walker. And if it is due to both protein as well as energy, it is termed as marasmus. So I've just put the difference. See, this is the Kash-Walker and this is the marasmic infant. So we have got here the features, how it is there. Now the word Kash-Walker was first introduced by Dr. Cicely Williams in 1935, and he defined Kash-Walker as a disease which the child gets when the next child is born. That means to say, probably it means that the first child will be neglected to a certain extent after the siblings are born. That is what it was defined. So, however, the clinical features of this Kash-Walker is the growth failure, then mental changes is there, edema, that is water accumulation will be there because of the imbalance in the electrolytes, mental changes, nothing but the since there is no supply of proteins to the brain or the nervous system, naturally the child mental capacity comes down, and the child will lose its concentration. Then muscle wasting is there because the protein that has been stored in the muscles will be utilized, so muscle wasting is there. Because of the edema, that is the accumulation of water content, moon face we call it, sometimes we mistake the features. We see a child with a chubby or saggy cheeks, it looks very plumpy, but that will not be a healthy condition. You have to observe it properly. So if there is any accumulation or of water like edema, then this moon face is there. Because of these hormonal changes, you know that hormones are nothing but proteins, and when protein deficiency is there, the synthesis of hormones and the secretions will be come down. So naturally liver changes takes place, gastrointestinal tract, especially the epithelial tissue which has been lined with the protein, the cells which are there loses their healthiness. So there is no absorption of nutrients. Nutrients will not be digested because enzymes are not there. And of course, because there is no nutrient supply is very low, deficiency of the other nutritional deficiency disorders can also occur. And apart from that, since immune components are also nothing but the proteins, so naturally infection episodes of infection increases. So the child will always have the infection, and the immune capacity will be very low. So as a result, gastrointestinal tract disturbance will always be there. That is, diarrhea is most common in the cash worker children.
Apart from that, even the skin changes takes place. There is vitamin A deficiency, so even the fat content is very low in the through the diet, because fat availability is also being disturbed due to the unavailability of the enzymes, and digestion doesn't take place. So naturally, the subcutaneous fat is lost. So vitamin A deficiency is also very much common in the children suffering from cash worker. As a result, pyranoderma is very much common again over there. Hair color also will change in the cash worker children. It will be golden brown in color, and the texture is very harsh. Just plucking of it just breaks the hair. Apart from this, due to the unavailability of proteins for the formation of hemoglobin, the most common deficiency disorder is the anemia due to iron deficiency, as well as the protein deficiency. Then the other nutrients, since the food is not digested well and the nutrients are not available, the other nutrient deficiency is also seen in the cash worker children. Next is the biochemical changes that takes place. The biochemical changes most commonly seen in the cash worker children is there is low level of serum albumin, and as I told, enzymes in the serum as well as in the digestive tract is very low, or it will not be formed due to the unavailability of the protein or the protein deficiency. Naturally, the lipid metabolism, as I said, is hampered. Even the carbohydrate metabolism is also hampered. Apart from that, the electrolyte as well as water balance will not be there at all. As a result, one of the deficiency symptom is edema. Now, coming to the nutritional marasmus. As I said, nutritional marasmus is basically due to inadequate intake of both protein as well as the calories, that is energy. It is commonly seen among weaned infants of about 1 year of age, and the symptoms are similar to that of the cash worker children, wherein we see the growth retardation. And here, the difference is major difference is the waste along with the wastage of muscle. Even the subcutaneous fat is also low, so the child looks very thin and apathetic, whereas in the cash worker children, there is bulginess in the stomach. Um, the other changes are commonly seen as you see in the cash worker children. So again, here biochemical changes takes place. There is serum albumin is slightly lesser, and even the enzymes is very low. The lipids will be normal, and the sugar levels is also normal. The diet and the treatment for marasmic children will be similar to that of the cash worker children. But however, it is very important to know that if the protein energy malnutrition is in the first stage, it is reversible, in the sense we can treat it at home itself. When it comes to the third and fourth stage, definitely the child has to be hospitalized, and the treatment should be started immediately, as it can be fatal also. So this is about the proteins. To sum up today's episode on protein, proteins are made up of a structural unit called as amino acids. Based on the amino acids, proteins are being classified as essential and non-essential amino acids. Essential amino acids are nothing but which should be provided through the diet, and non-essential amino acids, the body has capacity to synthesize them. So it need not be provided through the diet. The classification is based on the chemical component, and the other one is based on the shape of the or the structure of the protein. And the third very important is the nutritional classification. According to the nutritional classification, the presence of amino acids are very important. So accordingly it has been classified as complete protein when there is a good amount of the amino acids, especially the essential amino acids. And if it is partially with a few essential amino acids, it is referred to as partially complete proteins. And if there is no amino acids present, then it is referred to as the incomplete proteins. Now, apart from this, proteins plays an important role in the body. They are very essential to synthesize hormones, enzymes. They are very essential for the maintenance of the body functioning. They are also very essential for the carbohydrate metabolism as well as the fat metabolism. And light proteins, carbohydrates and fats, proteins also contribute to the calories. That is, 1 gram of protein yields 4 kilocalories of energy. The food sources are the animal source is an excellent source of protein. Apart from the animal sources, among the plant sources, it is the pulses and legumes, nuts and oil seeds, which are rich in protein. The cereals and pulses are very poor source of protein. The protein quality of a food can be determined by comparing the amino acid composition with the amino acid pattern of a reference protein. And there are many ways in which it has been analyzed. So we have got the chemical score or the amino acid score, the protein efficiency ratio, biological value, and net protein utilization. Coming to the deficiency of proteins, this deficiency of protein is referred to as cash worker. Protein deficiency along with the calories is referred to as marasmus. So both are the signs and symptoms are present in the protein energy malnourished child. Usually this is seen in the infants up to preschool age.